Yeah, welcome to Diaspora Connect, DCForum. We're here again, and this time around I'm here with very fantastic people that you've met before. Mr. Chinedu Okoye is right here. I don't know, sometimes I look at him and it's like he should vomit some part of what generation of his family I've enjoyed from Nigeria. But I know that they are sensible people and he says sensible things, but I don't know if we'll be able to agree today. I also have with me on the forum, new to the forum, but we're so glad to have him, one of Nigerian topmost motivational speaker, people developer, leadership and entrepreneur trainer, Niyi Adesanya.
It's a pleasure. I think I'm in diaspora right now.
Yeah, and that's what we actually want to do with this forum. We in the diaspora who have spent considerable amount of years, maybe born here for some people, for the rest of us, we've spent more years in the diaspora than we did in Nigeria. We want to be able to connect the diaspora with Nigeria and connect Nigeria with diaspora. And we want to be able to do this starting from our discussion. And then we move this into a platform where we can debate with a larger audience. And then we take it to even a notch higher where we can bring inventions and innovations and things. But for the purpose of our gathering today, I want us to actually look at, again, continuing from what we did the last time on Nigerian election 2019. We were looking at the viability of the candidates, all the parties that are there, which of them are viable. But today, from the standpoint of someone who comes from a spiritual background, or my principal assignment is as a clergy, as you may like, or some people look at me as an entrepreneur, but my core really is I'm a clergy. What role do we play as clergies in the upcoming election? And I put it in a topic this such that does the endorsement of spiritual leaders in Nigeria help the candidacy of any particular candidate, or is it detrimental to them? And first, let me start with my friend, Mr. Okoye, knowing that this is one area that you and I have behind camera.
We've had fights.
We've had fights
Yes,
over.
Yes.
Do you think, Mr. Okoye, genuinely from your heart, not from your emotion, that the candidacy of any of the candidates that are running, that are viable, is helped by the spiritual leaders' endorsement?
Let me just, before I jump into that, let me just correct a little bit about the introduction. My family, we didn't chop anything from the beginning.
Let's leave that. That's another topic.
Yeah. You can add Prince to my name.
Okay, Prince, yes.
That's
fine. Yeah.
As for the candidates, for my opinion, candidates that seem to get ahead when certain endorsements are given, it does help some, and some it doesn't help, depending on what part of the country you're
Now,
looking.
I wanted to, sorry to quote you there, but I wanted to look at it not just from any endorsement. I'm looking at the spiritual sphere, spiritual leaders, albeit Muslims or Christians or traditional rulers. And so we see these people come out, the Oba of Lagos or the Mayor of Kano or what have you. These people are people who have clout. So do we think that the endorsement, the public endorsement of any candidate has any weight, positively or detrimental?
Yes. Like I said, it is for some candidates positive, and for some candidates it's detrimental. And you have to look at it from where the populace are coming from. For every area, let's look at now the area I'm looking at. Let's talk about the East. If a candidate goes to the Obi of Onitsha, there's people that support that candidate that will be happy that he went and he visited and he got audience. So it's going to help him amongst his people.
But then can it then be detrimental where the people then think the Oba or the OB is partisan or should not get involved in politics?
Here's what happens. The OB now gives audience to his opponent to balance the equation.
Okay, looking from the perspective of from the diaspora, I'm going to ask Mr. Adesanya from what he was saying. The way we see it from the diaspora is different, though. It doesn't happen so often that you read from a balcony, like from outside Nigerian, that most of these spiritual leaders are able to create a balance. A lot of the time, there seems to be like a pendulum, that this person is supporting this person, this particular is supporting this person. Do you see it that way? Is it the right thing to do for the spiritual leaders to actually be partisan or endorse?
I would say publicly you're not supposed to be seen as a partisan person, because as a spiritual leader, whether you're a traditionalist, a traditional leader or a religious leader, you're a father to all. But definitely they're human beings, and then they must take sides. Whether, but it's advisable to do it privately, no, publicly.
Now, in saying that, there is this thing that I have in my heart, that when good people don't speak, bad things happen. And if we keep looking at our country, if we keep looking at Nigeria in such a way that people should be silent, leaders should be silent, they should not be partisan.
Sir, people are not silent.
Okay.
It's not about being silent. It's about, now, this is how you support your candidate. You come and throw out values. Values to vote for. So by the time you look at values to vote for, then you put all the candidates on that gauge of value. Then you can know, okay, this could be what this spiritual leader is talking about. This could be, but it's not authentic. Because you know what? For instance, now when you have people in the church, for instance, or in a state, you're in Kano State, you are the emir of Kano. The two people who want to be the governor of Kano State are from Kano State. So what do? You have two sons fighting, or two sons trying to get it. What do you now endorse one against the other, or something like that? But in some cases, in some like Obi of Onitsha is the Obi of Onitsha, and there is Oka in Anambra State there. There is other cities there. Am I right? Yeah. So if it is Obi of Onitsha, somebody contesting from Onitsha, and there's somebody against Oka, so you know you can go for your Onitsha person, and then but
I need a little bit of clarity to what you've just. I want you to break a little bit of what you're explaining there for us. You started by how do I get it back? There is something that you said at the beginning in terms of how these leaders
should do it privately.
Should do it privately, yeah.
No. You see,
okay, now you mentioned value. That's the line
value,
of thought.
yeah.
Now, is it the candidate who actually laid the values, or are you talking about these spiritual leaders outlining values that they want to see on the campaign or in the
what
candidates?
What I'm trying to say is this. No, there's a political, we are in a political frenzy right now in Nigeria, trying to contest and everything. Now, you as an individual, don't forget that these guys are individuals also.
Yeah, that's correct.
They're human beings. They have their own tendencies to go for this one or to go for that one. But because they are public figures, they are fathered to all, so they can't come out publicly and say, you know what, this is where to go. Except in some cases.
How could you then, now, please hold that thought. Do you, when I hear things like this, knowing the background that Mr. Niyi Adesanya, I've known Mr. Niyi Adesanya for over nearly 25 years, for him to say that you can't, how can we sit down and say that, I'm not saying they should, but can we really say that they can't speak or they can't
Probably
endorse?
let me say they shouldn't. Don't let me say they can't.
Okay.
I used the wrong word. They shouldn't.
Maybe we should be looking at they are doing something.
Because they don't seem to be silent. Nigerian climate for politics is one that does not allow anybody to be silent.
Yeah. You can be silent, really. You can be silent because you will talk. But For instance, that we looked at a situation behind cameras where we're talking about a particular guy from the East that verbally, I mean, publicly actually supported a particular candidate. And then
I'll say his name. Father Mbaka.
Okay.
I don't like when we get personal.
I'm not getting
It's something that
it's something that he did.
He came out publicly to do that.
Yeah.
Now, he was also swinging towards values based on what he felt was value there. And because there was a lot of...
So are you saying he's wrong to have endorsed a candidate?
Yes, absolutely.
He's
wrong.
Ow. Why is he wrong?
Because in his church, in the Catholic Church, there's hundreds of thousands of parishioners who did not support Buhari.
That's a fair point, yes.
So for him, and they believe in him, and then he now comes out and endorses Buhari. So he's pretty much telling the hundreds of thousands of his parishioners, don't think what you're thinking. Here is how you should think. Here is how you should vote. That's why they don't want clergy.
But it was clear, and I know we did discuss this before, Mr. Adesanya, and you and I had argued this point. It was clear at that time that there was a need for a change of government. Some of us will look today and say maybe we regretted wanting the previous administration to go or what have you. But the level of what we saw in leadership, in corruption, in how the country was run at the time, precipitated.
What we perceived of what is wrong because we don't see the. But again, even the father Mbaka, nobody listened to him. Actually, people did not listen to him because even the guy that he endorsed did not get enough vote from the states that.
You are now touching why I added the second element to this, which is detrimental, because in that 2015 election, we saw a situation, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to tame you from saying certain things, you know. But we saw things that what these spiritual leaders actually went for, it was to a point that some people were thinking they got it wrong. So that is why I'm looking at it. Is their speaking, is it detrimental to a candidacy?
I don't think so. Because you know what, you make up your mind. Just like in America, when you look at people who you think they've got some opinion, the last election, is it the Swift lady, the musician? No. Even
Beyonce,
Oprah.
Oprah.
And Oprah, they endorsed some candidate that actually did not win.
All the big guns, yes, that was it in America. All the big guns, Jay-Z, Beyonce, everybody.
You see a situation where in Nigeria, you come out there and you endorse somebody. Like we had a lot of people endorse Goodluck Jonathan in 2015. Even the Oni of Ife even brought out all the former Oni of Ife.
Entertainers, you know.
Obas in the western region to pray for Jonathan. Even with that, the vote was still split to 2 in the western region.
Well, I think more so because of the spiritual leaders that came out of the western region. You have Oyedepo.
I was going to try to
well, we're having a discussion.
The word came out then that they had seriously collected some compensation for making those moves.
Well, that is another territory that I want us to be careful of. You know, some of us here are law students, and we don't have those evidence. I mean,
definitely, we're a bit closer to the ground, and then we know the integrity of some of those people.
That is what I would say.
Just kind of make believe. We have a lot of fake news around, but I do not think those people collected any compensations.
Particular,
it was more of a religious sentiment.
Yeah.
Now, because it was a Muslim against a Christian kind of a vote.
Mr. Adesanya, I don't know if we should look at it that way. Now, he behind camera for so long, for 2 years now, argues with me that they collected money and what I. In fact, I made a bet once. I said, if you did an investigation and you realize that Oyedepo collected money, give me 7 slap free.
I don't think they do. I don't think they did.
Fantastic.
You know what? One thing about this is that, you know, sometimes you go visit, or somebody come visit you as a spiritual leader, they bring gifts to you. But that doesn't color your perspective. Now, if you're giving me a gift just for the sake of endorsement, that is when you're giving me a gift to induce me. But basically, 2014, 2015 in Nigeria was more about, okay, we do not trust Buhari. He has some Islamic tendencies.
Because of his antecedents, yeah.
That's why you saw a lot of movement towards this side. Okay, let us keep this thing going. We don't want to give this guy a chance to do that. That was what actually moved. Now, you know what? Even with that, even the Christian faith was even turned into two, like kind of divided. Why? Because the vice president of the so-called Islamic man tendency, having the tendency to do that, was the vice president, was a pastor, one of the leading denominations.
Which is another thing that when you look at Nigeria, one of the reasons why I raise this question is that Nigeria is a very polarized country, Christian, Muslim. It's two sides of the gauge. Now, if you give one side of the argument, one side of the race, one side of the religiosity, too much freedom, you don't have a cushion. So what those leaders, I believe, were doing in 2015, like you rightly say, sir, when they saw that movement and the tendency, they remember 1982, 1983, they remember the personality. Not only that, in fact, I think these religious leaders, maybe because I'm close to some of them, I know these things behind the scene. They were not even looking at what was done in the government of the time. They looked at what was done between the time the person left government and the time they were running, the things they said during, it might not be properly verified, I don't know, but there was a fear. There was a fear. Now, why should they not speak again? I'm going to pose a question to you, sir. When you look at things like, one of the strong spiritual leaders in the country happened to be someone that I'm very close to, like a father. And when you pastor people, and you've seen people die, and you've seen people lose their houses, you've seen people lose their family, you've seen, not that they told you, you've had people who have, you've touched it, you've felt it. You cannot sit down in silence.
No. We're looking at two different calendars right now. If you look in 2014, 2015, the person who won the election was not responsible for any killing. Because there was an endorsement before we start seeing when he was in power. He's in power right now, then killing started happening. Now, then there was an endorsement.
Was there not killing before the time?
But he wasn't the one responsible.
Okay.
He wasn't the government responsible.
He wasn't the government responsible.
You can hold him accountable for that. You understand? Before 2015. But they saw something based on antecedent, like you said. This guy could likely be this, or with what, you know, sometimes this our spiritual leaders, sometimes they have this inclination to be able to see the future. And then, so, but I think he has something to say. So we've been doing the talking since.
Well, we've always had this feeling that no matter what happens, that the religious individuals do have some sort of inside connection to who's in office. And
that's right, yeah, that's right.
It goes without saying, if you ask a regular person on the streets in Nigeria, they'll tell you what I'm saying, that these guys collected. Although, when you're inside with them, you probably see that they didn't, but the perception is that they did. Now,
let's just clarify that for the record.
It's very funny, because you know, one thing about it, one thing that goes on in Nigeria, I don't know what happened. I think it happens everywhere. It's fake news.
That's
because
correct.
There's something that happened lately of Atiku going to see Obasanjo in Alta, and then Bishop Oyedepo was there.
Yes.
People were saying that he collected money. No, he didn't collect money. People said he endorsed people. He didn't endorse anybody. He was just there because he's closer. He's kind of close to Obasanjo. So if you're going to
So he was trying to be right.
He was
trying to be the mediator.
In fact, in the event, he wasn't even expecting that. He got a call that from what I know what happened is that there was a reconciliation happening. I've been contacted by someone to meet with Article. As a respectable elder state spiritual man, I would want you to be there.
It's not even a big deal, you know what? But you know what? Because one thing you guys need to be very careful about in this being diaspora is be able to verify a lot of things, because there are elements in Nigeria both for and against that they throw up stories. They just throw up stories to be able to discredit some people and everything. Because a week before that incident, Pastor Kumuyi was with Buhari. And nobody was saying that, okay, he got something, he didn't get something again. When, Buhari was in London here, sick, he got visited by Adeboye and everything. So it is those people, because the campaign is already around the corner and everything, so they throw up a lot of things for us to discuss about, which is not.
That is where we get our feelings. It's not just from the stories. Because, for instance, now, we're hitting the campaign season. And these spiritual guys know their movements tells so many different stories without it being said. So when they now keep, like you said, goes to visit and there's a photo up, we know what Nigerian society is like. So the stories will just fly.
Can I say this? Mr. Okoye, can I say this? That
wait, just before you say that. We don't see the photo ops when the Muslim clerics are visiting Aso Rock. Do you understand? So what is the reason why we always see the photo ops when it is a Christian leader that's gone there, or a group of Christian leaders that have gone?
Because this is the dynamics of that. When you're a Muslim president, you don't score any serious points with a Muslim cleric coming to see you. You don't come because you're already one of them. So you want to win favor on the other side, especially if Buhari has been told that President Buhari has been told that you are Islamic in your tendencies and everything. So if he has an opportunity to have a Christian leader
to bridge the gap
to him, he will definitely have a photo op and he will broadcast it. And then just like Jonathan those days also, if anybody who is a Muslim cleric will come to him because he's a Christian, he wants to have an
bridging the
gap.
Place.
So you will always do that. Now, you know, sometimes that's why a young guy came to meet me lately and he told me about the fact that a particular political party wants him to do something for them. And he's actually supporting someone else. So he was asking me for the advice. I said, well, it's business. Go do your business, make your money, but do not take pictures.
I like that.
Do not take pictures with them. And then let everybody know that is business. Okay. So there's a visit. If it's a visit, it's a visit. But it's a different ball game when somebody now comes on stage and say, you know what, I am endorsing Mr. Okoye, Prince Okoye for president of Nigeria. It's a different ball game entirely. Now, it could just meet ourselves with friends and then we take a picture. Let's take a selfie. And then because we took a selfie, you're now assuming that is an endorsement.
Let me put this forward to you, but I'm going to explain something for you. The way I look at it is this. I think it is not impossible that there is something exchanging hand behind the back. However, just like you said, purely business. Nigeria is a very, very volatile environment. Volatility in terms of economics, in terms of somebody may be doing well and everything is gone. So when they see opportunity that politicians are rallying around them, they do. But what I'm saying is that from my experience, from what I see, do you think the major names in the spiritual sphere, do you think, I personally don't believe certain of them, the top three, I don't think they can be bribed. I do believe. Because I believe they're acting out of interest, they're acting out of passion, they're acting out of concern. Two of them I can vouch for. I know we'll never.
No, this is what you try to do. This is what you try to do. Try not to vouch for people and everything. We trust them. We know that they have value. They always say that everybody has got a price. But I believe that their own price they've gotten to a point where material thing does not appeal to them. They do not need. Now, this is where you can be bribed. When you need to show.
That's what I'm trying to do.
When you need. I missed that point now. No, when you have when I need your help to be able to make ends meet.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
but if
I'm
you-
desperate
if
for
you're
survival, like
desperate,
Manslow,
they are
the
not,
theory
they're not
of
desperate
yeah,
again. They're
exactly.
not looking for anybody. They have their own followership and everything. So that on its own secures them a little bit, gives you a reason to doubt anything anybody's saying that okay, they collected $10 million
Correct, yeah.
or $1 billion because what do they want to do? What do they want to do with it? They want to build more houses. They have several houses. They want to build and they want to buy jets or something. They have that. They want to settle their family to the fourth or the third generation. It has always been settled.
So if I can help this, let me start from Mr. Okoye. Going back to the subject, do we think that the endorsement of these clerics, of these religious leaders, is it positive? Is it necessary? Is it detrimental to the candidacy of anyone running for presidency?
It can be both sides, but I think they should not be endorsing anybody. I think they should not be doing anything that will give the perception that they are endorsing someone.
Oh, yeah.
So that if two people are in their church and one supports this side and the other one supports this side, the pastor or the head of the church or the spiritual leader should not give any inclination that they're leaning to any side. Because both people are their members.
Yeah.
Do you have the same view, sir?
Oh, definitely. You know what? Because in the church, in the mosques, you have people who have different opinions. You have people from different parties. So when you now come in there and say, this is where I'm going to and everything, it just colors the whole thing.
Yeah.
You do it behind closed doors, not come out there. There's a way you can endorse. You don't have to be the one to endorse. I'm close to you. I'm working with you and everything. You know what? Let me be the one to endorse. Let me be the one to do the dirty job. They know this Niyi is great boy. Niyi is a prodigy of great. Niyi listens to great. Niyi will never do anything that great does not ask him to do, and blah 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 like that. So with that, I'm there. So once I'm there, your followers know that for me to be there, that means that is where your own mind is. But you're not coming out to say, you know what, this is where my mind is.
My mind
Let
is
me
neutral.
play the dirty game. You know, you have the dirty cup and the the good cup.
Yeah.
You play the good cup and then get somebody to just do the dirty job for you.
I think that's a very good way to put it.
definitely.
I say this to people. Voting is a sovereign right.
Yes.
And nobody under the earth has the right to choose for what. I always put it this way: if God could give autonomy, personal autonomy to Lucifer, to his second in command, who chose which way to go, none of us should be told who to vote for. However, let's just, as a way of rounding up this, can you advise the Nigerian populace as an authority, as a person from the diaspora, you coming from Nigeria to connect with us? How should we see, advise us, how should we see this election 2019 playing out?
Well, a party is using corruption. The other party is using poverty, alleviation. I think the best way to fight corruption is alleviating poverty.
So in that sense, what you are saying is that one party should get rid of the other.
Well, I'm not saying that. I'm speaking in parables right now. Like
So
the leaders
that's a
don't come out and endorse anybody.
So that's a
You
metaphor.
can infer it from what I'm saying and everything. But I'm of the opinion that the best way to fight poverty and to fight corruption is to beat poverty.
Fantastic.
Now, I tell people this, that I'm more susceptible to corruption than I was 5 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years
That's
ago.
interesting.
Yeah,
Well,
I am more. Because you know what? There are some things, there's a way I make money before. I'm not making money. I don't deal with government. Now, the economy is not too good. So there's some bills that I'm struggling to pay. Or that I'm getting by and getting it done. And then because of that, because my lifestyle has probably gone down a little bit. So if somebody offers me something, it's tempting. Because everybody's
To
gonna
block
try.
the gap.
Yeah, to block that gap, to be able to answer some questions and then pay some bills. But if you allow me make my money to the fullest of my potential, then if you bring something to me, I say, no, I don't need that.
There is something wonderful you said in one of your leadership tape. It just came out to me now. Very fantastic. And I think this might be what a lot of Nigerians might be going through right now. You were talking about people building capacity, and that when the Naira is devalued against the dollar, against the pounds. You could do well when it was maybe 1 to 100, you were trying, and then when it goes to 200, you were trying, and then it goes to 400, and out of it, all of a sudden, somebody's capacity stop when they get to 450.
Yeah.
The person is no longer able to run their business. They're no longer able to push, and everything come crashing. So it depends on the capacity. But I think the government of any day should concentrate on building the capacity of the people. If there was anything that would give credence to the government of Chief Olusegun Obasanjo for, and I know so many people slag me for that, is that they created a middle class.
Oh yeah.
They created lots of,
The middle class in Nigeria is almost fading away right now. It's not faded away. But they say they're trying to do a lot of things and everything. But
I think this government, to me, have a lot of good initiative, but I'm not sure if Nigerians are feeling it. And I still believe that authorities, the leaders, the spiritual leaders, everybody need to come out and play their cards to their face that this is where we are.
Let me say something. That question you asked him about the issue about corruption in Nigeria, how to stamp it out. My opinion, I think they should concentrate on, as it's the government that's in power, concentrate on themselves. Start from the lowest level in the civil service and work your way up. Because if every politician that goes into office, how does he learn about what happened in that office? It's through the people who have been there for years. So I can come back from London now and run an election and be successful. But I don't know nothing really about my ministry. But I won the election. The people there are the ones that are going to teach me.
the other teach you or frustrate you.
Thank you. So when you now see that corruption is continuing, it's more done by those who have been there forever.
I mean, our time is almost up, and my name is Abraham Great. Once again, this is DCForum. I just want a final argument coming back because we digress a little bit, and that's one thing about Nigeria politics. You're never able to focus on one issue because there seems to just random everything, a whole lot that we need to cover. But in the final analysis of everything that we have discussed here today, are you saying to me, Mr. Okoye, that right now, the like of the names that you've mentioned, Mbaka, what have you, if they come out again now and say, yes, I was wrong, what I said the last time, this is how things are, do you think that the spiritual leaders should still weigh in before we get into the election?
Mbaka
Final
himself
words.
should correct his own endorsement and come out publicly.
What
and
if
say he
his
shouldn't have done
endorsement,
that.
like Mr. Niyi said, I don't know if you said it here or behind camera to me, that he did not regret supporting a particular candidate. Yeah. So is he really supposed to be correcting, or he still has a voice to speak? Because I believe that we should just keep speaking until we get it right.
What I said correcting is he should come out and let people know that he really should not be endorsing
A
or not
specific.
endorsing. He
Okay.
should not be delving into politics. That's why it was set up that way to begin with. Then, in general, yes, spiritual leaders, traditional rulers should not. That's my opinion.
Thank you. Now, Mr. Adesanya.
Well, definitely I would toe his line, but they are individuals also. They have tendencies to be for this and for that. But for the sake of the fatherly role they play, I do not think that they should. But if they have to, and if it's against their core values, I mean, there's sometimes that doesn't come against your core value. Because right now, I do not think, although it has not been verified or proven yet, I do not think that the Emir of Kano should be on for the governor of Kano with the video that we are watching and everything. That's against serious values. So we expect you to come out to really talk about that as a father. No. I can't entertain that, because once you entertain that, you're building a culture already for people to...
Fortunately, our time again is up. But I'm going to say this to Nigerians in Nigeria and Nigeria in the diaspora. I think if you have spiritual leaders, people that you love, people that have blessed you, that have taught you, if they are tending to be polarized or they're on one side of the pendulum, this is what I would think. Set up a committee on either side have a way of presenting a case to them that we do not, sir or ma, believe that this is the view that you should. We are both represented in your religious organization. We would like a situation where you, like Mr. Adesanya said, you present to us what values to watch out for, what we should do, and then we will vote our conscience. At the end of the day, we pray that the will of God be done for Nigeria. And like I always say, that one day we can all say along with me that in Nigeria, it is working.